Hi there and welcome to a bank holiday issue of me, Ghost Critic, doing last week's comics. I'm a little bit behind, but I've been away on holiday. So let's crack on with, let's see, the Fantastic Four, the Future Foundation, sorry, it's the Amazing Spider-Man, 659. Yeah, all jokes aside, it's just another Fantastic Four issue, really. And I said pretty much what I thought of that last time in the last issue, but we've got another issue at least of this to go. What did I think of what was inside it? Well, it's kind of I guess, a run-of-the-mill kind of adventure for a kind of Fantastic Four setup to me. You've got pirates, you've got hidden treasure, you've got zombie pirates, you've got the kids ganging together, and then there's that whole bit at the end, and given that this video is so late, you must have read this by now, the big reveal at the end, Sinister Six are back. And they're caught in the middle of the Future Foundation, Fantastic Four on one side, and the kids that have come in to apparently save the day on the other. It's an okay, that part of the story is okay. It's a fun adventure ride for the kids, for the more younger readers. There's funny lines and quips going on between The Thing and Spider-Man, as always. The story harkens back. This is something Dan Slott seems to be doing quite a bit of late, and really, you know, delving into the histories of these comic book characters, knowing what has gone on previously, and you can't get any further back than really the first appearance of Doctor Doom, who was in Fantastic Four issue number 5. And this is where the whole story that they're in now has come to, in a way. Though I was a bit confused, the kids back at the Baxter building, or wherever they were, seemed to have had it all solved, and there was some misdirection. Now, from what I read, it didn't seem to be pretty much explained, unless the Sinister Six are the misdirection, but misdirection to what? Or were they misdirected and they came across the Sinister Six? I don't know. Bit confusing. What else was happening in this issue? Well, there's the whole Cooper girlfriend thing going on. She's acting the whole spurned lover. I don't know how long these two have been going out with each other or how committed they are to each other, but this did seem to me a little bit over the top. You know, she's certainly got a few anger managements, but then, you know, you get a bit about her past if you're new to this character. She used to fancy a rogue cop. Her best friend, that was more like a sister, turned into Menace, the supervillain, and her father faked his own death, and all badness has happened in her life, and now she's got Peter Parker, who apparently is telling her lies. Clearly she doesn't know that he is Spider-Man. But there's the whole Green Goblin tattoo. Dum dum dum. What will that lead to? Yeah, of course it's going to piss Peter off. But is that going to be made more of than it actually is? Who knows? That's an interesting lane that's going down. Fine, we've had Fantastic Four, Future Foundation, get rid. We want Spidey, we want him on his own. We want him fighting all his regular villains and some new ones. Really looking forward to, yes, this little bit of banner at the top, the road to Spider Island Infested. Now again, what I was saying about Dan Slott, you know, going back to the histories of these characters, and I don't think I'm wrong here, though it's going to be interesting how this character's been brought back, but we have Miles Warren. Now, the last time we heard of Miles Warren, he had a doctor in front of his name. Yes, it was Dr. Miles Warren. Now, he was way back in Amazing Spider-Man number 31, and his character was the Jackal. Don't know if anyone remembers that. No, I don't know if this is the same character, or if this is a progeny of them, but Dr. Miles Warren, he was into lots of cloning, and he made a a clone of Peter Parker, who very, very early on in Spider-Man history we thought the Jackal and the clone were dead. They weren't. The clone grew up, gave himself the name of Ben Reilly. Those two, I don't know really much about this, but apparently, you know, the Jackal came back, he'd mutated, he'd become as this super villain, and both Ben and Peter had a battle with the Jackal, and apparently, conclusively, the Jackal was dead. So I am very, very interested to see if this is the real Jackal, and how Dan Slott is going to bring him back into continuity. Yes, superheroes as well as supervillains don't die for good. There's always a clause, a get-out clause. So that is very interesting. As for the Ghost Rider team-up, let's not talk any further about that. On to the next one. It's X-Men number 10, and I'm sorry, but I just love this. It's fun. It's a great comic book read. It's superheroes, mutants, facing off against a bunch of lizards that were once humans. It's what's not to like. In this one, the X-Men have been turned to lizards, apart from Emma, who managed to get into diamond form before the big wave explosion thing mutated the other X-Men. Spider-Man was out of the laboratory at the time, so he wasn't affected by it. So it's basically an Emma and Spidey issue, and the way those two bounce off, funny. It is just funny. The panel work in this is exceptional. It's very cleverly laid out, especially Emma and Spidey going through the sewers, the way it curves around the page. Very, very clever. And of course, favourite artist, Backlow on it. It's a good read. That's my Marvel titles for this week. One independent, well, kind of in between, one of the big three, I would say, and that is Morning Glories number 9. And here we have the Jan Hissau storyline, the two twin brothers. Yes, they are twins, there's 2 of them, but oh my god, does this twist and turn and shock upon shock upon shock. You really don't know what is going on, who is who, and what's going on? This is such a good issue. It's such a good story. Nick Spencer clearly taking inspiration from, you know, the kind of Lost, flash forward, the event type TV programs where you're going backwards and forwards in time. There's layers upon layers of story. It's so cleverly written by Nick Spencer. And, you know, the art by Izima and Esquejo. Great stuff. My only issue with this is that we seem to be getting kind of insular stories. Yes, it's very nice to get all these characters set up, but we're now in issue 9, and I want more of a story, an ongoing story, not just let's find out what this character of the day is. No big critique about that. I just want a bit more of the story. I mean, it's chucking a few little bits in, such as like at the end bit, who is this Abraham character? So it's giving you a little bit more information, a little bit of snippets of more. Pick it up, go and get the trade, and then, you know, it's only 3 issues from the trade. Go and pick up the other 3 and carry on getting this fantastic comic. On to DC, and let's start with Green Arrow number 11. And this is actually, you know, JT Krull is doing a good job managing this alongside Brightest Day, which I will get onto in the next review. But, you know, he's had a tough time because it's had the Brightest Day logo on the top. Green Arrow's come back with a new title. But, you know, the constraints that JT Krull's been under with the Brightest Day run alongside it, he has done a damn fine job, in my opinion. In this issue, this is like, as it says, Final Stand. This is Etrigan and all these evil wood creature demons fighting against, you know, Dr. Midnight, Mr. Terrific, Green Arrow, Galahad, and the forest is basically taking over and growing bigger and bigger and bigger the more the power is increased. So it's just crazy fights everywhere. You see a lot of characters in here, with obviously the inner monologue of Green Arrow. You know, he realises he's not the strongest, he hasn't got any special powers, he's not part of a team anymore, he is just one man, but god damn it, he is going to do his best to save this tree, this white lantern tree in the middle of his forest. He is not going to let this blackness, this darkness take over the one place where he has felt safe for so long. Some of the panelling in here is crazy confusing. It's very action-packed, like I said. There's loads of fight scenes, and then you get that end few pages where the battle is ended, the White Lantern speaks to Ollie, and it nicely leads on to, yes, the final part, Brightest Day number 24. And it all boils down to this. Yes, there's no spoiler here. Swamp Thing is back. And how did they do that? They had to bring Alec Holland back, who was... This is where I'm not really going to get into this because it'll take far too long. But it's nice that Johns gave a good hearty nod to the Alan Moore mythology. If you haven't read Swamp Thing, the Alan Moore saga, what he built up around Swamp Thing, how he reinvented him, then go out and find it now. It will make a lot more, this final issue would make a lot more sense, but it is good to see Johns not just forgetting everything that Alan Moore built Swamp Thing up to be. So good on Johns for that. As for the rest of it, we all know that the Swamp Thing is going to triumph over Necron, Dark Swamp Thing, if you want to call it that. So let's forget about that. We have the other, the missions, you know, remember way back, you know, all these resurrected characters, they had missions to do. I didn't collect everything with the Brightest Day banner on it, so I don't know how many of the missions you saw completed in the others, but it gives a nod to it. So, you know, it has Jade, it has Osiris, it had someone else, I can't remember for now, but also there's the rest, there's the boomerang, and there's Hulk catching it. And of course, Boston Brand gets gypped. He dies again, he dies! So he's back as the dead man. He's not too happy about it. I'm not sure whether this will continue or whether it's just Dove that can hear him, but people apparently can hear him now, not just, they just can't hear him and can't see him. Now they can hear him. I don't know how this is going to affect future storylines for the dead man, if any. Which does lead me to this, you know, this is, it says it's the beginning of the end of this. It's the end of Brightest Day, and some major characters have been brought back into the DC universe, and it's going to be interesting to see how DC integrate this, whether they're going to get new titles, ongoing titles, whether they're going to be incorporated into different existing titles, because, you know, you've got Boston Brand, he's back as Deadman, you've got Swamp Thing back, and you know, it's Monday. If you've not read your comics by now, more fool you, but that last panel page, John Constantine, Hellblazer, from the Vertigo line, he's back in the DC universe proper. That is going to be very interesting. I had a lot of bad things to say about Brightest Day to begin with. It finished off on a high, that's all I can say. Next, it's a Zombie number 2. I really haven't got much to say about this apart from go out and buy it. This is some crazy shit. I mean, just the cover, nuns with guns, what more do you need? I just don't know where to begin with this. It is some crazy stuff. I mean, with Fraser Irving on the artwork, wasn't a huge fan of his to begin with, but his artwork more than works for this title. It's a very supernatural, very horrific, and I mean that in a horror way. It's not awful. But really, just go out and buy it. It's a great issue. And finally, which is quite ironic, because this is, dear regular viewers, my 50th video. I've actually survived 50 videos. More about that at the end of the video. But we have finally issue 50, the extra-sized anniversary issue of Justice Society of America. Now, when you get extra-sized issues, you think kind of piss-poor story at the start and a few backup stories that have been reprinted. Not so here, and well done DC for doing that. Whether it works or not for a new reader, a bit iffy. If you're a regular reader, this is a nice look back at the legacy of Justice Society of America, where they've come from, what they've gone through, what inspired them, who they've inspired. And all through this we have the new villain, or new old villain, for them to fight next, and that is a Degaton. Need to read up on about him. He's obviously a big character, villain for the JSA, so I'll be interested to see where that's from. Again, you know, Guggenheim is popping a few little secret bits, not secret bits, but a few more interesting plot lines that need to be developed. Again, this whole what is going on in Monument Point, that, you know, the guys with the suits want these superheroes out of town for. What is going on? What are they going to cause? Great issue. Justice Society of America, good title to pick up. Maybe a bit too much history for a new reader, but definitely gives you enough information about what the JSA are all about. And with that, as I said, this is my 50th video. I just can't believe it. I will be doing an extra special video to kind of celebrate that, and celebrate something else that goes along with it. So after you've watched this, sorry it's been so long, check out a shorter one next. That's it for me this week, guys. I shall be doing another one very soon. Take care. Don't forget, rate, subscribe, comment,